All right, let's get into the game then, ladies and gentlemen. This is game number 2 between our esteemed players. This is, of course, Group Stage 3 of the most difficult bracket ever in a DreamHack Open. Very difficult just to get here in the first place, but to stay here is going to require something else. Spawning over here, ladies and gentlemen, in the top right-hand corner as the green Protoss player, one of the world's most recognizable pro gamers. It is Grubby. He's going to be playing against the pink Terran player in the top left position. He represents Team Liquid.Net and is currently a game up. Can he close it out 2-0? Or are we going to see a decider game number 3? This is Taeja.
So, Taeja should be very confident after game number 1, but he's got to be careful not to be overconfident. That's something which a lot of players can easily slip into the track. You want to make sure that actually things don't go, you don't take unnecessary risks, because when you're a game up, you've got that advantage that you've got the buffer zone, the area where you can be a little, well, you can take a bit more risks, but you don't want to give a game away because that puts you on the line. But Taeja can still try and get a nice advantage where actually he can take this game safely. Grubby is the one who has to manage the risk and reward ever so delicately in this next game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But that said, Grubby's been in many situations where he's been a game down or even 2 games down in a best of 5 series before, and he has a really nice mindset to be able to come back from things like this. He's a very focused pro gamer. He's exceptionally talented at being able to not let outside influences affect him. He's taking the games one at a time, and that's exactly what he has to do here to continue to play at his best. And it would not surprise me if he came back from that loss in game 1, recognized the issues that he had to fix in his game, and then just come out with another level in this second game. The only question really that has to be answered is if it's enough to beat Taeja.
Now remember, Grubby does have a habit of losing game 1 and then coming back very nicely, especially in a fashion where game 1 really doesn't go to plan. Quite often he'll just come back and it'll be rather magical, but what's he got planned this game? He's busy chucking down his Nexus. Meanwhile, from Taeja, it's a very similar opening. I believe, is the Nexus late or is it my imagination?
I think it's really just a similar opening, to be perfectly honest with you. Grubby, if we take a look, yeah, only now just starting to scout, so maybe just being a little bit cautious with the timing there. But I don't really think think things are going that different, because rather than the timing of the Nexus, I'm looking at the timing of possibly getting 100 energy on the Mothership core, which is really going to determine where and how he chooses to defend against any sort of early aggression from Taeja. So I think he's fine for now. Taeja, in the meantime, he's going to be scouting also in the wrong direction first, so the players are going to take a little while before they end up seeing each other. I wonder if the probe and the SCB are going to end up meeting up here. And either way, it's going to take a little while before they see where the bases are located. The Mothership core should be able to get a sneak peek now, and Grubby should know. Very nice, pulling away to give maximum time for him before he gets scouted by Taeja.
Now, Taeja just going for a really standard 1-1-1 play here, and it'll be interesting to see how Grubby deals with this. And this is what I was saying. Taeja can afford to take this sort of risk. It's a calculated risk that 1-1-1 may equal a quick win. I take the series and then have a nice little break before I play my next group game, which is obviously something Taeja wants. But if it doesn't go to plan, it's not a coin flip, but it either goes very well or very badly. If it goes badly, Taeja goes, oh well, game number 3. And that's where Taeja can take a bigger risk, but he's still expanding out the back of it, so it's not completely all in.
And don't forget, guys, for those of you who may be watching a little bit more on Wings of Liberty and are going, 1-1-1, where are the Banshees and the tanks? I don't understand. We've got Marines, Widow Mines, Hellions, and all being encompassed in a drop coming in towards Grubby right now. So he is expanding off the back of this. He's not trying to immediately put absolutely everything into nothing but units, but there is an Immortal here as part of the greeting party. The problem is the Marines are doing a reasonable amount of damage to it, but can it really be enough? With the Guardian Shield as well, the Immortal just doing an awful lot. There is a Widow Mine there nearby the ramp, and oh, Grubby has to be so careful. He doesn't activate this mine. There it is, and almost going off on a sentry. Great timing there from Grubby to pull it back, but this attack is still ongoing with Hellions in the natural.
The Widow Mine actually really quite dangerous, but it does now get taken out. The Immortal's still looking good. Good force field there by Grubby, but great pickup by Taeja. Getting back down to safety. He's killed so far 8 workers. Probably going to get 9, 10, 11 because the natural base unlikely to get any staying alive. That's all really solid, actually, for Taeja, and he should be really happy. Even if he lost all of these units, I'd say that's an effective trade.
He's doing a pretty good job at lifting them up in the medevac, and definitely effective trade because he seems to be doing well at keeping those units alive, Mattles, which is so important at the highest level. It really makes a massive difference between... Ooh, pardon me, did I just say that a little bit too soon? No, there we go. He is going to pick up and head on home. Makes a huge difference when you harass. You try and squeeze out that little bit of extra damage, but you do lose your units. It usually ends up being diminishing returns against a good player, which is why picking your units up and making sure they get back in a timely fashion is a really good trait to have. And Taeja still trying to poke and prod a bit, but doing a good job of keeping those units inside the medevac.
And you talk a lot about this actually, JoRoSaR, where it's about conservation of units is really beneficial because the damage being done by Taeja, he's still got the units that are in that medevac, or the majority of them, ready to go in again if needed. So Grubby taking the initiative, he's moving forward, he's got proxy pylons down. Is he actually going to be able to break through this? If we take a look at the natural, that's a lot of bunkers, an awful lot of them.
Yeah, that definitely means business there. I think when Grubby sees that, he's going to have to decide, well, how many of these bunkers are actually full, and how real is this defense from Taeja? And we can see there's actually at least a Marine in every single bunker. So very difficult for Grubby to gauge that off the top. And with SCVs to repair as well, to be honest, I'm not sure this is a position that Grubby can infiltrate at this time. Don't forget, when the bunkers eventually go down as well, there is a medevac there to potentially help heal. And yeah, this is... I mean, he might be able to get a couple of the bunkers as well, managing to pick off one, but now the medevac is going to be able to heal the Marines as well, and the siege tank is coming up behind this. I just don't see Grubby breaking through.
And this is a problem for Grubby because he's committed quite a bit to this, trying to make it work. Behind, of course, he does have 43 probes to 37 SCVs, but there's the mules for Taeja. That's going to help him. And Taeja, to be honest, his economy is still looking pretty nice. He's got Stim Combat Shield about to kick in, and still quite a sizable force. Getting Concussive Shell too. All of these things piece together really quite nicely for him.
Good move from Grubby there, by the way, to pull back from the front of the natural. Grubby is trying to use this as a bit of a smoke screen to take his third base, by the way. His next is about 2/3 of the way complete. He has got the robotics bay down now as well, and going to be going into a Twilight Council as well. He really just wanted to get another base and get a little bit of tech out, and Taeja might be looking to try and punish that right now. He had to go down the ramp and eventually break it anyway. He's decided now is the time, and he's gone, well, hang on a second, Grubby's just pulled back. I wonder how real that threat actually was, and he is about to test Grubby at the natural. With all these minerals and gases being put into both tech and these expansions, this push could end up being really dangerous for Grubby.
It is the tanks now sieging up on the low ground. The Colossus dealing some damage, but it doesn't have extended thermal lance. That means it's vulnerable to those Marauders. A potent overcharge going on that Nexus. We can see, though, the positioning from Taeja really solid. It's going to be so difficult for Grubby to knock out those tanks before extended thermal lance is done. And ultimately, Taeja can just start moving forward, just creeping his way in and containing Grubby.
Oh, and Taeja stims in now. He's done the scan. He's looked to see what Grubby has, and he's gone, hang on a second. I think I might simply be able to take this. There goes the Colossus, the second one coming down the ramp now as Taeja lifts up, goes back to his siege tanks. Once again, conservation of units. Really smart here from Taeja. A third tank coming up in this position now, and if Grubby ends up losing this natural expansion, it's going to be a very difficult task for him to hold on to this game.
It will be, and when we take a look at actually what is down for Grubby at the moment, he doesn't have all too much, just that single Colossus and a couple of gateway units. Great stim forward, the force field's essential, just trying to keep it alive, but things not looking good for Grubby.
Oh, just managing to pick up that Colossus with the last Marauder there. And now we have the Bio Army. Not very much of it left, but the siege tanks are behind, and he's going to be able to get into the natural, actually leaving them unsieged right now for maximum DPS as well. And Grubby is looking like he is in a lot of trouble. Taeja going to be sieging them up now as well, and the potential splash damage against the probes could just be catastrophic. 2 sentries immediately going down. Still more in terms of unit retention. Great pick off and drop to pick off that Colossus as well. And I think this might end up being it.
I think it unfortunately will be for Grubby, but Taeja, I'm going to be honest, he's played spectacularly. His pickups, his drops, his movements, absolutely spectacular, fantastic. Well, he's done an amazing job.
GG, and Liquid.Taeja, ladies and gentlemen, defeats Grubby 2-0 at the start of this group stage.